Yeah, how many do we have here?
We have 30.
Police pounding on classroom doors, shots firing in the hallway, students hitting record.
Everybody was in that classroom fearing their lives.
I hear people running down the hallway. I hear screams. I hear help me.
Kids inside the school sharing just how close they came to the shooter.
I turned to my left and
So this is a story that I worked on last year, 2024. And I'm sure y'all can remember the Apalachee high school shooting. Just wanted to take you guys to just understand what had occurred that day, what was transpiring that day, and also just a little behind the scenes as to what went into putting this story together. And this so happens to be a story that's up for an Emmy nomination this year. So I wanted to just do a little series on stories that, award-winning stories that are up this year, and maybe just kind of break down as to why it received such a high reward. I don't do these stories for awards, but it just so happened, in this industry, once a year, we nominate stories, and we are judged by our peers, and this is one of the stories that's up for Emmy nomination. I'm nominated for 5 this year. And so I just kind of wanted to break down, this story in particular and how it all came together. This is actually the day of the shooting incident. And these students are on TikTok and they're like kind of just sharing their experience. And for them, it was a very, very hard and emotional time, and these were posted online, and the reporter I worked with, Caitlin Ross, amazing reporter, great writer, we both got assigned to do this story today. And this is all she had, was these videos of these students. She had to ask each one for permission to use it, that were on TikTok. And we had an assignment of trying to put a story together on the day after this incident occurred. And so she's like, hey, I got these students, we can't talk to them in person, so this is pretty much as close as we can get. And so I came up with the idea of, let's kind of just freeze this moment in time, because it was a lot happening really, really fast. And, it's something that's extremely tragic. So we wanted to be cautious with how we presented the story. We didn't want to keep replaying the same video that we had seen on air that day, because it's just very traumatic, having to relive that and see that every day. So I said, let's take stills of the scene, right? They say, a picture says, 1,000 words. And so we decided to take screenshots of video clips throughout the scene. So this is helicopter footage from that day. This is a ground shot, a photographer shot. So this is all video that was already recorded the day this incident occurred. And so I took freeze frames, I took stills. And so just, if you don't know what that is, it's just like a screenshot of those videos, right? And I kind of did that. See, that's actual video recording, but I just freezed it and I took a screenshot, right? And what I did was I ended up taking these screenshots, right? All these images that you see here, kind of laid them out in the background. I went ahead and just printed these out. I went ahead and said, you know what? Let me go ahead and screenshot them, and then I went ahead and printed them out. And then what I also did was we have this giant cork board that we use sometimes, and I went and pinned them on this cork board. kind of like to what you see up here on my wall right there. Just a regular cork board, and I went and pinned them around the board. And while I did that, while Caitlin was picking out different parts of the videos that she wanted to use, I just had them play out on my cell phone. And what I did was I just moved the cell phone around the board, repositioned the pictures, so you can kind of see the scene and what was happening, but also be able to, hear what was going on as well. And we did this probably in the span of an hour. I came up with the idea. I screenshotted all the video clips that I wanted. I printed them out, laid them on the board, and then I got the video clips that she sent me of all of the interviews and the footage that we got permission to use off of TikTok. And that's kind of how we went about putting this story together. And I'll play a little bit more of it so you guys can see.
We have 30.
Police pounding on classroom doors. Shots firing in the hallway. Students hitting record.
Everybody was in that classroom fearing their lives.
I hear people running down the hallway. I hear screams. I hear help me.
Kids inside the school sharing just how close they came to the shooter.
I turn to my left and I see this guy holding a gun, and he points it directly towards me and starts running to me.
After he shot those 2 teachers and 2 students, I was next.
The kids posting their experience online so people understand how it feels to be in the crossfire in your own classroom.
Like, it was very intense. I was very scared. I thought I was gonna die, and I thought that was my last day.
Their fear flying across cell phone screens in Barrow County. I'm scared. Please. I love you. 15-year-old Melanie Garcia texting, "Mommy, I'm shot." Her sister calling 911. Their outrage and sorrow open on the screen.
They just sent their loved ones to school, thinking that they're safe.
Their strength will not be silenced.
Breathe.
Yeah, and that was a day turn. We had to shoot it that day, edit it that day, and get it on air. I think it was in the 6 p.m. show that day. And then this is the day after the shooting occurred. So it was the story of the month, and definitely the story of that week and that day. And so again, it's my approach to these kind of stories is always to be sensitive to the people who were involved, right? So there were people who actually lived this. There were people who were there. We heard from them. And so I always try to make sure if they were watching, how would this come across their screen? If I was at home and I got home from school and I watched this story, how can I, tell this in a respectful way that's still kind of creative? It's kind of hard to use that word when you're doing such a traumatic story, but that's part of my job is to be creative and try to take people out of the tragedy of it, but understanding the people who were involved. And so again, I've done stories like this before where it was extremely tragic, and we still have to produce. We still have to put a story on air. We still have to inform the public and kind of peel back a few layers to let people know exactly like what was going on, what was happening at the time, and what people were experiencing. Because it's kind of hard to do all that live. You're not able to sit down and talk to these students live, when the incident is happening. So, of course, after a day or two, and these students, man, they were so brave to go online and share their stories and what they witnessed. I mean, they lost friends that day, teachers that day, fellow classmates and things. So I always try to be respectful, always try to be tasteful. And that's kind of what went into creating this story. Technique-wise, I didn't do no fancy edits other than one of my signature styles is kind of like fast pace off the top. So, all right, those first 3 seconds right there, that's sound from the actual scene. That's video from the police coming by. And so with those photos kind of still there, you're seeing the imagery and you're also hearing it as well. And so what I did was I took that video clip, I just took the audio and I laid it down on the timeline here. And then I just, while I was editing, you know, I put those photos up just to kind of give you an idea of what it sounded like that day. You know, in simpler terms, it's kind of like a slideshow, right? But instead of having the picture come up on the screen, I shot it just so you can add a little layer of texture, almost as if you can touch the board. You know what I'm saying? Like if I just had this picture up full screen, like the actual screenshot, it wouldn't feel the same. You know, it wouldn't give you that same emotional element to it. It still would have got the job done, but because I had a little bit of time, I said, you know, I want you to kind of feel this. And so that was the reasoning behind that. And this is got nominated for an Emmy. And again, not that I did it for that, I didn't know. We don't know at the time that a story is going to be nominated for anything. It's not till, you know, probably like the end of the year, and we'd submit stories that we feel good about, or stories that we feel like made an impact, or stories that were, you know, that were just, you know, overall done well. And so this is one of my Emmys that I hopefully will be able to accept an award this weekend coming up. But again, it's not for that. It is nice, but this is also pretty sad. And so, and you know, these students still have to live with that trauma, you know. And so, just a little behind the scenes. If you guys want like a little bit more in-depth, you know, techniques or editing techniques that I use, my style, and things of that nature, just leave a comment. You know, leave a little note in the comments and say, hey, I want to, you know, see a little bit more, and I'll gladly do that. Or if you just want to, you know, you like this video, definitely, you know, hit the like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I plan to do more videos like this, man, and you know, just kind of give you guys the behind the scenes, the mindset, you know, in going into a story, especially when you don't have a lot of time. And so, yeah, that's this one. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.